Hi, my name's George and I run 0 to 60 Creative. 0 to 60 Creative is a creative agency based in Tunbridge Wells, Kent. We offer web design, graphic design, digital marketing, and really all sorts of things to small businesses based in the southeast. Today, I wanted to take a look through our most recent client site. That's scucksvintage.com and is for my mate Max, who runs Scucks Vintage. I built the site with Shopify and I've been really happy with the process of putting it together and getting it launched. So let's shift over to the computer. This is the website itself, scucksvintage.com. It's live now, so if you did want to take a look yourself, then you can feel free to visit there yourself. It's all live, he's selling, you can even buy and it will ship all over the world is my understanding. Take a look. It's quite a simple website. Black, white, greys, and a little bit of cream to match Max's logo and brand identity. Really, on this website, it's the clothes that do the talking. They're bright, they're eye-catching, and if we were to do too much else elsewhere, then I think they detract from that, or even worse, make it all clash. Simple website, but I think it looks great. Max has got this great stock. It's a lot of vintage motorcycle jackets, leather jackets, sheepskin, and all that sort of thing. He's always got a great stock, and I think he's struggling just to upload it all at the moment. So there's more coming here every week, every day. We're also really lucky that Max had some great photos. He's really into film photography and could just send me over folders of some really sick shots that he's taken. So filling up the website with those was an absolute pleasure and made everything look great. It's amazing what difference good quality imagery can make to a website or a design. A lot of the layout on this website is sort of default to Shopify, but it worked, so I kept it. You do get some choice of customization right off the bat, in that things like I can code it so on hover it shows the second image rather than a zoomed in version of the first. I think that's really nice, especially with these products where you want to show the back or the front of the jacket as a secondary shot. They've got a lot of detail there as well. Just before we pop off of this website, I wanted to take a look at the mobile version of the site. Here it is on my computer being displayed for an iPhone 12 Pro. You can see that it responds really nicely to this layout, and part of the reason for that is that the Shopify templates appear to be designed from a mobile first perspective. That means that the layout's sort of built around the mobile and then is customized for a desktop afterwards, so that the elements can expand out rather than what might have been done in the past, which was to create the website for desktop as the first priority and then figure out how all of those elements fit or compress down into a smaller phone view, which basically led to worse view for mobiles. These days, about 2/3 of all website visitors are coming from a mobile, and that number only seems to be increasing. So it's very worth having a good mobile layout, and in some perspectives, even more important. But yeah, it looks great on mobile, and actually a lot of the styling for mobile and responsive design was done for me, and worked nicely with the alterations that I made. There was only a couple of bits where I had to sort of tweak it to work on mobile or vice versa. So let's take a look at this. This is the theme that we built it off of, and it's basically Shopify's default theme, the one that comes with it right out the box. When I sort of build the job for Max or quoted the job for Max, I had every intention of using a theme to save some time and save him some money. I always find that if I can, then it will save a massive amount of time, and if it does what you need, then it seems like the logical way to go. After having a chat with Max about the ideas that he had for his design and having a think about what I thought about the design as well, this actually seemed to tick most of the boxes right off the bat, and it was just a matter of making some small customizations to match him. It's amazing what difference a change in imagery, change in colors, and a change in font can make to a website. I feel like the one we've got is a little bit more punk, whereas this feels very much like a nice home store where everything's made out of wood and that sort of thing. But yeah, hopefully you can see where it has deviated from the theme. Looking at this one, I sort of go, it's almost the same in some ways, but there's a lot of subtle differences that I think make quite a big difference. Shopify's got a load of themes to get started with on your site, from free themes that you can muck around with to do what you need to do, to paid themes, which can be quite a bit more expensive, but might be what you need right out the gate. Let's take a look at customization. This is the screen that we get to edit the homepage on Shopify. And it's quite similar on the other pages and collections. You get a lot of this same sort of ability to muck around. Every theme changes, so you might find that some themes are more rigidly coded than other themes. However, I believe these new Shopify 2.0 stores have a lot of the same customization, and the standard is that they should be relatively easy to customize for the user. Now, if you didn't know HTML and especially CSS, then this is sort of where your customization would end, beyond customizing text and images, which could be a bit limited for people. So I've been able to add the logo on using branding and select some of the brand's colors using the branding section. So I've done that outside of here. But down here, we get to look at individual elements and customize aspects of those. The image banner's sort of already coded up. I get to choose an image or two, and I get to choose the text that goes on top of it. I can remove this and add other things, but it is somewhat limited beyond that. I think if I wanted to create this into a slideshow, then it would be a little bit more complicated and may require some custom coding from me. So that's something to think about. If you're not comfortable with at least doing CSS and maybe a bit of JavaScript or Liquid, then you may find this quite a limited editor. But yeah, we can muck around with all sorts of things. We can change how many things display here. We can sort of change whether there's a button below and what that does. Change the color schemes, and it also gives me options of how it should display on a mobile layout. So I can choose that should be 2 columns, 1 column, whatever. We've got other elements down here like collections. This shows a collection of products, and we've set up a few already which are displayed here. We've got things like multi-column layouts as well. Standard expectation on these website editors, but works really nicely and is styled really nicely right out of the box again from Shopify. So a lot of this works nicely to create simple but effective effects. Now, like I say, that could be the end of your editing there. Beyond what you can do between branding, color schemes, choosing your theme, and then editing things like the homepage and other pages using this editor. However, what's lovely about Shopify is they give you access to all of your own code. You can go in and edit as much as you like, and you can break as much as you like, which gives you almost unlimited customization. One thing to think about, and this will be similar with WordPress if you're familiar, is that editing this code here could cause issues when you update your theme. So you've got to be cautious of what you're doing. For me, that's meant that I've actually had to add a link to my own custom CSS sheet. Is that right? CSS sheets? No. All right, correction. It's not CSS sheets, because that'd be cascading style sheets. But yeah, I had to add a link to my own custom CSS here on the head in the theme.liquid file, which basically just references a separate file. That means that base.css can be updated by Shopify or the theme creator, while custom.css should remain the same and shouldn't be overwritten. Hopefully that's the case. This is the advice I've gathered from elsewhere, and seems to be the way to go. We'll pop over to that custom CSS that I referenced there, and you can see that actually a lot of the custom styling is done here. I've tried to comment it all for people to use in the future, but yeah, it's all should be fairly simple stuff. Of course, it's a custom CSS document. It's my own custom CSS, so some of it is a little bit hacky to make stuff work, but it works fine. So what have I had to? I'm going to take a look back at the site, and I'll sort of show some of the bits that I've had to do with CSS styling, so you can get an understanding of what requires CSS and what can be done without that sort of knowledge. So these lines under here were grey before, and then are black. That's CSS. This is all capitalized. I could have done that using the actual editor, but I think I've used a text transform with CSS. This shop all button here didn't used to have a black fill in the background or a grey fill in the background, so I've added that, as well as the hover effect, which makes it semi-transparent. Text up here, this used to be, I think that used to be lowercase. I've uppercased it. This is all text transformed to be uppercase. I used some liquid to make it so that when I hovered over this, it changes round. I changed one value from true to false. You just got to figure out where it is. What else have we got? We changed some spacing around down here. I mucked around with some of the colors here. This is gray. I think you can make that gray within the actual theme settings. but then I got rid of a line here, removed some space here, put that black line in there. This would have said 2023 Scux Vintage powered by Shopify. I've removed the powered by Shopify using Liquid as well. And there, if we go on to things like Scux Selects here, no. If we go onto the contact page, I've had to style this to reduce the size of those buttons and to remove some of the lines because the styling I'd done elsewhere was putting a black line here, a black line there, a black line under there. It all looked a bit silly, so I fixed that as well using custom CSS. A lot of what we did with CSS actually was just little bits that Max wanted to change. Like, he didn't like that there was X amount of space here and wanted things to be a bit more condensed. And CSS gave me that power to change basically anything that he requested to a degree. The other thing we've done is this Scux Select Stock Drop. I was quite pleased with that. This announcement bar is built into the theme. However, it just wants to have plain text with it. I've been into the Liquid file and I found the script which sort of sets this up. And then I was able to write my own, well, I used ChatGPT to write myself a countdown script using JavaScript. And then I was able to go into the code and actually add that in myself, as well as create my own separate JavaScript file to store that code in, which is referenced from the head as well. So yeah, this appears on every page in the announcement bar, and it's some custom JavaScript up there, which is really nice to be able to add, and it can do a lot for your site. So why did Max move to Shopify? Well, he was using Etsy before, and they've got some kind of nutty fees. It doesn't seem like much when you first start selling, but when you actually look at all the fees in a total, it can be quite damning against their business argument. Max sells stuff as quite big ticket items, so when fees are 10% of the cost, you can imagine that hits his bottom line quite badly. On Etsy, he was paying a 20% listing fee. He was paying, I think, 10% of sales price, then VAT on top of that, so that's 12% of sales price because you have to pay VAT to Etsy. And then if Etsy advertises your stock anywhere, then you pay a further X amount for the fact that their advertising made a sale. And then you can opt in for Google ads or opt out of that. You can also set up your own ads with Etsy through Etsy or through Facebook. And again, that's another hit to your bottom line and your advertising costs. So it gets quite expensive. You almost end up paying about 20% after everything. You almost end up paying 20% of your stock of your sales total to Etsy, leaving you with only 80% of the profits, which can hurt quite badly. On the other hand, on Shopify, Max pays 2% card processing fees, and he pays, I think, £20 a month for his Shopify deal. It could be more than that if we needed more features, but right now Shopify Basic does everything that we need. So it's £20 a month for his Shopify Basic, it's £10 a year for his domain, and he just pays 2% on every sale. So he's saving, I hate to think how much money he's saving. This website will pay for itself in a month, maybe two. So yeah, really good business argument for using Shopify. And the fact that it all just works so nicely and made it easy for me to set up meant that he had to pay me a hell of a lot less to get it set up and to get it working for him. Even with the amount of changes he asked for, that sort of thing, we came in at a really good time to get this all up and live. I'm really impressed. So Shopify's great, but what are the bad bits? Here's one thing off the bat: add-ons. Shopify's got so much stuff in its app store that can do so much for you. However, the way they're built is not so much fun. This one here, for example, we want to do a wish list and we haven't implemented that yet. This one's going to cost $4.95 a month every month to get that set up, just so we can have a wish list button on there. I think there might be a way we can do it free. I think there may be a way we could do it cheaper, but basically everything that you find that works well, that does what you need, will have some sort of a monthly cost associated with it. And if you add a few of those together, they can quickly start creeping up from the £19 a month that Shopify originally cost you for the basic package. Just here, I mean, that's a quarter of your Shopify cost for this wish list app, and that seems like a lot. At least most of them give you a 14-day free trial, so you can at least test them and make sure that they do what you actually need them to do before you start paying that money to them. And then the other bad thing is if you don't know HTML, CSS, or aren't comfortable with Liquid and JavaScript, then these themes and these websites can be quite rigid. They can be quite difficult to edit. Like I showed you in our editor here. Can I show in the editor here? No, did I close it? Here we go. Like I showed in the editor here, there's things you can change, but your creativity will be severely limited by the builder and the designer, the editor on Shopify. Now, I think sometimes keeping it simple is great. This means that my client can go on and he can edit things and he's going to find it very difficult to break something. However, sometimes it feels like you are more limited than you should be able to be. For example, like this slider up here, right? If I want to add something on top of it, I can't do that. This element's quite rigidly defined, and yeah, I think I could delete the text or I could change the text to something else. But if someone said, oh, could you add a second button down there? Or if someone said, could you add a second line of text that's different and in a different size? Then I'd be out of luck. I wouldn't be able to do that. I could go into the code and I could create my own custom element that contains all of those features. However, that is just that much more advanced. And if you don't know your HTML, if you don't know at least your CSS to make this design work for you the way that you want it to, then you are going to be stuck using their theme, and you are going to be stuck making very few changes beyond the text and the images that appear, the very basic layout, and the products that you sell. But yeah, or what theme that you use. But yeah, just the editor is very basic if you don't know CSS. Once you do, though, it's really open and easy to use. So it's what is that, a double-edged sword? I don't know if that is. But yeah, benefits and disadvantages. But then the benefit to that is that your client can edit easily and isn't going to break very much. You're not giving them too much control, so they can do things like change titles. So, maybe it's a benefit. It depends whether it works for you. Well, I think that's the end of my video. Shopify gets high marks from me for ease of use, ease of setting up, and how it worked, how easy it was for my client as well. If you are thinking about setting up an online shop or moving your own business off of Etsy, I strongly recommend giving it a go. The first 3 months on Shopify are only £1 a month, and then it'll be about £19 a month after that. And yeah, you could keep it running at the same time as your Etsy store or anything else, just to tentatively stick your toe in the water and see how it works for you. But yeah, I really recommend it. If you've got any questions about what can and can't be done with Shopify, then feel free to drop us a message below, or do get in touch if you're interested in having 0 to 60 build your new site for you. Thanks very much for watching. Please do subscribe and get in touch if we can do anything for you. Bye.